Chairs No Waiting, episode number 417. Jeff Pruitt takes a wife. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you each week by the fine folks over at weaversdepartmentstore.com. Drop by over at Weavers. Check out what they've got. We've even got T-shirts for your toddler. That's right. You can get an Aw Paw or the newest Nip It T-shirt, both in toddler sizes. So if you got a grandchild or a child, or if you're just really little, you can get you one. And while you're over there, check out the Goober beanies. We got some nice new Goober beanies. They look good over at weaversdepartmentstore.com. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you by donations from listeners just like you. Executive producer of episode number 417 is Larry Taylor. So Larry Taylor is one of our patrons over at Patreon. So thank you, Larry. I really appreciate it. Thank you to all of you who donate to the show. Donate to the show. And for all of you guys that are just able to listen or watch the podcast each week, it's great to have you here in Mayberry with us. So this week we're going to be talking about Jeff Pruitt. Now, Jeff Pruitt was from the episode of Farmer Takes a Wife, and that was episode 45 filmed and aired of the Andy Griffith Show. So that was if you remember Jeff Pruitt, okay, think back, you'll know who that is. That's the skipper. And what got me thinking about it is this week's, this is going to be good. This week in Mayberry history. So we're going to head over and we're going to hear from our good friend Randy, who's been doing these great reports. This is week 10 of his reports. So let's head on over and hear from him. So let's go.
Welcome to This Week in Mayberry History, a report by special correspondent Randy Turner of the Gomer and Cooper Pyle Comic Book Literary Guild of the Mayberry Historical Society.
Allan Hale Jr. was born on March the 8th in 1921. While to us as Mayberry fans, he was farmer Jeff Pruitt, who came to town to pick out, and sometimes literally pick up, a woman to be his wife. Without question, Allan is best remembered as the skipper on Gilligan's Island. He played the skipper for the show's 3 seasons before the show was canceled, with the castaways still marooned. Just why the producers didn't wrap up the series is an interesting story. While a much broader show than the Andy Griffith Show, and while never a top 10 series, Gilligan's Island nonetheless had solid ratings during its first 2 seasons, ranking 18th in its first season and 22nd in its second. During its 3rd season, it was no longer a top 30 show, but it was still doing well enough against its chief competitor, the Monkees. As a result, CBS assured the show's creator and producer, Sherwood Schwartz, the show would be renewed. However, the long-running Gunsmoke was not doing well in its Saturday night time slot, and pressured by the network president and longtime fans of the Western, CBS decided at the last minute to give the Gilligan's Island time slot to Gunsmoke. It was a solid business decision for CBS, as Gunsmoke shot to the top 5 in the slot and stayed in the top 10 for 6 of its remaining 8 years before it was canceled. But the last-minute cancellation left the 7 castaways on the island. Allan reprised his role as the skipper in 3 TV movies in 1978, 79, and 81, as well as 2 cartoon versions of the show. The show has remained popular in syndication, with the colorized version of the first season, which was originally shot in black and white, often shown. In the pilot, the skipper's seldom-used name was revealed to be Jonas Grumby. A sad bit of trivia about the pilot is that its final day of filming was November the 22nd, 1963, the day of John F. Kennedy's assassination. In the opening credits, as the minnow is leaving the harbor, the flag can be seen at half-mast briefly in the background, a reminder of the real-life tragedy that had occurred. As Jeff Pruitt, it is interesting to see that Allan referred to Barney as Little Buddy just as he later did with Gilligan. There are other Mayberry connections, of course. Bob Denver also appeared in Mayberry as Dud Wash in the character's final appearance. CBS wanted to use Bob instead of Hoke Howell, who had previously been Dud, as that was the same year they were launching Gilligan's Island. And speaking of Gilligan, Jerry Van Dyke, who appeared in the last black and white episode of The Andy Griffith Show, had been offered the role of Gilligan, but turned it down. That's it for this week. As always, thanks for listening, and remember to take Andy's advice and go out there and act like somebody.
All right, so that was Randy Turner with This Week in Mayberry History. Now, don't miss it. If you're not on Facebook, or even if you are, you can sign up by email so that you don't miss Today in Mayberry History that he's putting out every day. If you sign up, you go to turnersgrade@gmail.com, and he'll send you an email. So thank you again, Randy, and thanks for that topic. That was great because we got to learn a little bit more, I think, about Jeff Pruitt. And so that kind of inspired me, Allan Hill did, to do tonight's podcast episode. So in this episode, we're going to listen to clips from the Andy Griffith Show that are related to Jeff Pruitt because I just thought it was fun. We had a great time. I had a good time watching the episode because I went back and watched the entire episode with Jeff Pruitt getting ready for this, and wow, it was so fun. And I just love watching episodes of the Andy Griffith Show. I know you do too. We get home from work and we can relax and just have a good time. And in the beginning of that episode, Jeff drives up to the Mayberry courthouse and gets out of his pickup truck, and he goes out there and starts yelling at Andy and Barney.
Hey, Andy! Barney! I'm here!
And believe it or not, they recognize his voice
You don't suppose that could be Big Jeff Pruitt?
from outside.
Hiya, fellas!
Well, Jeff, how in the world are you?
So that's great. And so then, of course, Jeff, he ends up hefting Barney up and yelling and all this good stuff about it. I tell you, there's such a comparison between Jeff and the skipper. You know, so I have to admit, even as a Andy Griffith Show fan, I think of Allan Hill when I see him as the skipper. And that's what Randy said. He's definitely most remembered from that. And it's really fun to see him here in the Jeff Pruitt role because it's so similar to the skipper. So, you know, remember he came to town. He was wanting to find a wife. So that's what he was there for. He was really, you know, looking around. He thought he was going to be able to find a wife in a day or so. Anyway, everybody said, well, what about Bertha? You know, I thought you were going to get hooked with her. So then Jeff begins back here.
Good news, Jeff. What are you looking here in town for? I mean, if you're fixing to marry, what about Bertha?
Bertha?
Well, what are you looking so surprised for? She's lived on the farm next to yours all her life, and everybody figured if you got married, why, you'd marry her.
Well, sure, I like Bertha. I mean, she's real good company and good competition, too. Always gives me a run for my money every time we're milking the cows and calling the hogs. Doggone if I don't have to take a back seat every time we pick tobacco. Well, I don't want to marry her. No, for marrying a fellow wants a female type, you know, kind of soft and squishy like.
Soft and squishy. Wow. Can you imagine if they said that on TV today? Now, everybody laughed in this one, and, you know, it's funny. You want a soft and squishy woman. You don't want somebody that can call hogs and pick tobacco better than you. I just thought that was a funny line and just wondered if that was today. You know, wow, would people go crazy about that? It's completely innocent, you know, and I don't know, maybe it's even kind of true because, you know, you have differences in what you're looking for. I don't know. He didn't think Bertha was up to it. So anyway, he was going to have Bertha or going to try to find him a wife. And of course, then if you'll remember, Barney actually offers to help.
To help you find a bride, Jeff?
Oh, well, now, Barney, I don't know that we're exactly geared for that line of work.
Why while we're out tracking down desperate criminals, we might as well just keep an eye open for a woman for Jeff.
Yeah, I guess we could. Next time we go out on a manhunt, we'll make it a woman hunt,
We'll
too.
make it a woman hunt too. That's right. So Barney and Andy end up. Now remember, this was Barney's idea, because we're going to revisit this in a couple of minutes here as we go. So Jeff said, well, okay, as long as y'all are going to be doing that, that's great, but let me go out and I'll go ahead and start looking for one myself. So he left, and then Andy's sitting around in the courthouse reading the newspaper, and then Opie, he comes in the door of the courthouse.
Hi, Ope.
Guess who I just saw?
Who?
Jeff Pruitt.
Yeah, he come in town this morning.
Guess what I saw him doing?
What?
Standing on the corner picking up girls.
What do you know about picking up girls?
What do you know about
Gosh,
that?
Pa, what's there to know? Whenever a girl walks by, he just picks her up and then sits her down and says, "Excuse me, ma'am. Just checking your weight."
So he's just what's there to know, Pa? He just picks her up and sets her down. Excuse me, ma'am. I was just checking your weight. Can you imagine if that was really happening? That's picking up girls. So Opie, he learns right there. And of course he goes on in that clip right there and says something about, imagine caring how much a girl weighs. Anyway, I love that. I love that particular clip. All right. So then you remember Barney gets the idea, he's gonna help Jeff find his girl, and he comes back and says, hey, Thelma Lou's having a hen party over at her house, and I've arranged it. We're gonna go over there, and you're gonna get to meet somebody. And so they go over to the house and looking around, and Jeff's looking at all the girls and talking, and he eventually sees the one he wants to pick, and Barney thinks he's talking about another girl. They start walking over to the person. And it turns out that Thelma Lou was standing behind that lady, and it was Thelma Lou that he wanted to talk to. Now, remember, just a few minutes ago, Barney asked or offered to help Jeff find a wife. And then this clip occurs after that. After he's picked Thelma Lou.
Notions. Of all the insane notions, us finding a bride for him. Just show me somewhere in the sheriff's manual where it says we're supposed to run around finding brides for people. Well, go on, show me.
Barney.
I'm disappointed in you, Andy.
I'm disappointed
I am
in
really
you.
disappointed. I can't remember when I have been this disappointed in you.
What are you disappointed in me for?
Well, why didn't you stop me?
Why didn't you stop me?
I didn't stop you.
That's right. Pass the buck.
Pass the buck.
Barney, I'm not passing the buck. I'm just reminding you of the facts.
Oh, me. So Barney, it was his idea. He's mad at Andy and says, well, why didn't you stop me? Why didn't he said, oh, yeah, pass the buck. I love it. So let's hear it.
And the facts are, Jeff come to town, said he was looking for a bride. You said you'd help him, and the way you helped, you took him over to Thelma Lou's, and that's how it all happened.
Oh, why hash over ancient history?
So Barney don't even want to talk about it anymore. Why hash over ancient history? So it was Barney's idea, and he's mad at Andy for not stopping him. And then when Andy says, I'd stop you, he says, passing the buck. So who's passing the buck there? Anyway, I love it. Man, these writers were amazing. Oh, these characters are so amazing. Great show. Great. All right. So then, Barney goes over because Andy right after that says something about, you reckon where Jeff is? Barney says, and Andy says, I guess he's probably over at Thelma Lou. So Barney heads over there, and sure enough, Jeff is over there with Thelma Lou, and Barney's standing outside the door, hiding behind a bush, kind of. And when Jeff comes out, Barney goes, Jeff Pruitt, right here. And so Jeff comes over to talk to Barney.
Talk to you about Thelma Lou.
Oh, I can't never thank you enough for bringing me to her.
Yeah, well, that's just the point, Jeff. You can't have Thelma Lou.
Huh? I can't?
You can't have her because she's mine.
She's mine.
Yours?
Well, that's right. Everybody knows that. She's my girl. Everybody knows that, for heaven's sakes.
You engaged to her?
Well, not exactly.
Did you ask her to marry you?
Well, no.
Well, then it kind of appears that she's really more my girl than she is yours. Because I ain't going to beat around the bush. I got my mind made up, and I'm going to ask her real quick. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go get some more sweet peas. You know, for just a minute there, little buddy, you had me real worried.
So of course, Jeff about knocks him down. And there he was saying, little buddy, as you heard there. So Barney is not acting at all. You know, he's not acting on Thelma Lou. He's going out with her, but he's not asking her to marry him, none of that stuff. So Jeff's like, well, you know, it seems to me I've got dibs. Awesome stuff. So then, right after that, Andy, this is where the episode kind of turns into the very similar to the mountain. The episode where the Hatfields and the McCoys, the Wakefields and the Carter, the Wakefields and the Carters were getting married when Josh and, you know, when they were going to marry. This is what this really kind of turns into, this episode, because Andy comes up with an idea, sitting over talking to Thelma Lou, that, you know, we need to make Jeff realize that he couldn't live here in town. He wouldn't like that. So he's over there talking to Thelma Lou about, what is it, bunking Bronco or something. Let's hear it.
Thelma Lou, we're going to have to do a little Bronco busting.
You mean there's a chance she might not want to marry me?
That's right, Jeff, but don't you get discouraged now. There's just as good a chance that she might want to marry you if.
If what?
If you fill the bill on what's her idea of a dream prince.
So Andy begins to tell Jeff, you know, that she's got all these ideas about what a real man should be. Now, right after that, he takes Jeff and he starts trying to teach him how to do his setting with a cup in one hand, a cup and a saucer on one knee, and just a saucer on the other knee, and try to balance them and everything. Then, after he's been doing that for a while, he takes him to get some clothes. Now, just as an aside here, we'll talk about this here, but as he takes him to go get his clothes, this scene,
but Andy,
they're heading over to Carol's of Mayberry. It's a men's clothing store. And as they get close to this place,
a new suit for.
Now, Jeff,
they're going to get a new suit.
Like a gentleman. Now we got to get you looking like one. Oh.
So as they're talking about that, the man who comes out of the door of Carol's of Mayberry men's clothing store, that man carrying a little basket, he's got a little package under his left arm. That is Andy Griffith's real father, his father. So if you're watching that episode, be sure and check that out, because that is Andy Griffith's, his dad.
But Andy, and
when we do, you'll be ready for a date with Thelma Lou. Come on.
All right.
So there they are working on that. But I just wanted to mention that to you because I didn't want you to miss that was Andy's dad coming out of the door of that store. Okay, so anyway, he gets him in there and he gets him to get his suit and everything, and the suit is so tight when he gets over to Thelma Lou's. It's the biggest suit they had, is what he says. And it's so tight on him. And then Thelma Lou starts working her part of the deal, where she's made little finger foods for them to eat. And, you know.
Honey pie, somebody got in your food and tore it into little teeny pieces.
Oh, you silly boy. They're finger sandwiches.
They're tiny little sandwiches. She starts feeding them to him. And, you know.
Well?
Yeah, he likes them.
Kind of good. Whets my appetite for supper.
Why, Jeff, this is supper.
You're joking.
I know.
Can you honestly call that a meal?
I believe in keeping trim.
Trim? Why, there ain't enough meal there to get skinny on.
That is a great line right there. There ain't enough meal there to get skinny on. So, I love that one. And so right after that, let's see here if I got the right clip. Right after that, I believe Barney comes in. Yep. So here comes Barney. Or
Hi
Andy,
there,
I mean.
you two. Have I got news for you? It's about a house.
A house for us?
I've been speaking to Tom Biggers, and he's got 3 dandy ones for sale. You can take your pick.
What do I want with a house in town, Andy? I got a farm already.
Oh, you'll be selling that and moving into town now that you're marrying Thelma Lou.
I'm afraid I'm just not the farm girl type, Jeff. I hope you don't mind.
So that's where Andy and Thelma Lou start working their magic here to try to upset Jeff and get him himself to make the decision that he doesn't, he doesn't think that he should be marrying Thelma Lou there.
You can go right to work as a shoe clerk at Harvey Willock's store.
They recommend that job.
Yes, I believe that is best. I think, Jeff, that's the job we'll take. And then I think...
We? Now, just a darn minute here, you two. If you think I'm going to work in a shoe store, you got another thing coming. There never was and there never will be a Pruitt that ever worked in a place that ever had a roof on it. And there never was a Pruitt that ever wore a tie. Or ever wore a suit. Or ever tried to ride a cup and saucer piggyback on his knee. You know something, Thelma Lou? I believe you're trying to change me.
There you go. So these episodes, I think you get a combination of, you've got the episode where they're trying to get the Wakefields and the Carters together. And you also have the episode with Briscoe when Aunt B is trying to change him, running him off the same way. This is all very similar. The Andy just outsmarting the folks. So this is very similar to both of those episodes to me. And I really enjoy it. I never had really thought too much about that particular thing. So anyway, so Jeff's fed up with it. He's not going to have anything to do with it. Barney comes in though. He's all, now Jeff, you got to remember, he's probably twice as big as Barney. And Barney comes running in to Thelma Lou's house, and he is ready to fight.
Go, Andy. All right, Jeff, put him up. I said put him up. I'm going to fight you.
I don't want to fight you, Barney.
Well, either fight or get out of here.
I'm going.
So Jeff walks out the door, and Barney follows him all the way to the door. And of course, then Barney starts to get that smug look on his face. Comes back over to Thelma Lou, and eventually...
Well, how about that?
Well, you know the old saying, bigger they come, the harder they fall.
And of course, to the victor go the spoils is what I think what he says. Let's see what he says.
There's another old saying, baby. To the winner belongs the spoils.
To the winner. And he grabs Thelma Lou and he kisses her. That is awesome. So that's the end of the episode that most of us ever see. We don't always see the next part, which is right after that. It comes back from the epilogue, and Andy and Barney are standing outside the courthouse and talking.
That little incident with Jeff really taught me something.
It did?
Yeah. You don't actually have to use physical force if you just show the other fella you mean business. Just quietly let him know that you got it, if you need it.
So just quietly let him know you got it if you need it. And so then we have, what's his name? Joe Waters. He comes up and parks right in front of the courthouse.
Well, how do you like that?
So as he comes up and parks, he parks right in front of the courthouse. In the car he's in, he gets out. And if you look at the tag number on that car, just a little trivia, it's DC 269, which was the squad car tag number on a few episodes as well. So I wanted to point that out. And of course, Barney goes over and starts talking to him and makes it, he stands up to him, and the guy's fixing to get Barney, but Andy's standing back in the background and just kind of points to one side at the car. And so Joe goes and gets back in the car and drives off. Of course, Barney thinks it was him the whole time, so he comes back with this quote.
The way I like to handle it. Be firm. Send them on their way. I hate fighting. It's ugly.
So I hate fighting. It's ugly. So there we go, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. That was Farmer. The Farmer Takes a Wife. We talk about Jeff Pruitt. A few little bits of trivia thrown in there for you. And this week in Mayberry history, wow, we had a lot and we covered a lot. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, that's fun for me. Those are the fun kind of episodes that I enjoy doing. So I would love to hear from you. Give me a call at 888-684-8415 and tell me if you like the show. Tell me if you like this kind of episode where we kind of go over an episode of the Andy Griffith Show and just hit the highlights and play some audio clips, video clips, and kind of delve into what was going on in those episodes and learn more about the characters. Like I said, give me a call at 888-684-8415. You can email me at floyd@imayberry.com, or you can drop by over at 2 Chairs No Waiting, and all that information is there. You can leave a comment there. Lots of ways to talk to me. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, folks, have a great week, and we'll see you here on 2 Chairs.